everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Dr. Ann's Desk. I'm here with my baby boy Lucas, and he's already touching the book. We love story time. And so I wanted to do story time today and share with you all some strategies and tips, obviously, of how to incorporate story time in your classroom. So, first, we're going to start with the story. And today, Lucas got one of his new books, which is Giraffes Can't Dance, and the author is Gilles Andre and Guy Parker Reeves. And that's what we're going to be reading today before I share tips and tricks on how to use story time in your classroom. All right? Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully crooked and his legs were rather thin. Let me turn the page, Papa? Okay. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees. But when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Good job, my page turner. Now, every year in Africa, they hold the jungle dance, where every single animal turns up to skip and prance. And this year, when the day arrived, poor Gerald felt so sad. Because when it came to dancing, he was really very bad. I'll turn the page, Papa. The warthogs started waltzing, and the rhinos rock and rolled. The lions danced a tango that was elegant and bold. The chimps all did a cha-cha with a very Latin feel, and 8 baboons then teamed up for a splendid Scottish reel. Gerald swallowed bravely as he walked toward the floor, but the lions saw him coming, and they soon began to roar. Hey, look at clumsy Gerald, the animals all sneered. Giraffes can't dance, you silly fool. Oh, Gerald, you're so weird. They were not nice to Gerald, Papa, and you are not going to be like that, okay? Gerald simply froze up. He was rooted to the spot. They're right, he thought. I'm useless. Ugh, I feel like such a clot. So he crept off from the dance floor, and he started walking home. He'd never felt so sad before, so sad and so alone. Then he found a little clearing, and he looked up at the sky. The moon can be so beautiful, he whispered with a sigh. Excuse me, coughed a cricket who'd seen Gerald earlier on. But sometimes when you're different, you just need a different song. Listen to the swaying grass and listen to the trees. To me, the sweetest music is those branches in the breeze. So imagine that the lovely moon is playing just for you. Everything makes music if you really want it to. With that, the cricket smiled and picked up his violin. Then Gerald felt his body do the most amazing thing. His hooves had started shuffling, making circles on the ground. His neck was gently swaying, and his tail was swishing around. He threw his legs out sideways, and he swung them everywhere. Then he did a backward somersault and leapt up in the air. Gerald felt so wonderful. His mouth was open wide. I am dancing! Yes, I am dancing! I am dancing, Gerald cried. Oops, sorry, Papa. Then one by one, each animal who'd been there at the dance arrived while Gerald boogied on and watched him quite entranced. They shouted, "It's a miracle! We must be in a dream. Gerald's the best dancer that we've ever seen. That's why you're not mean to people, Papa, because sometimes they have talents you don't even know about. How did you learn to dance like that? Please, Gerald, tell us how. But Gerald simply twirled around and finished with a bow. Now he became the teacher. You see you're making fun of him? Yeah, that's why it's not good to make fun of people. They be knowing stuff. Then he raised his head and looked up at the moon and stars above. We all can dance, he said, when we find music that we love. Yay! Yay! And that was Giraffes Can't Dance by Gilles Andre and Guy Parker Reese. And so story time is a great time to connect with your kids, as you can see. Lucas is used to reading. We've been reading to him since he was just born, honestly. And so now he knows to kind of turn the pages. He follows along. But you can also use story time even for older kids in your classroom. And so you can use the story as a geography tool. So giraffes and Africa was mentioned in the story. So what you can do is you can split up the reading and you can incorporate different elements of the reading into a coloring activity for younger kids, into a map making activity, into a geography lesson of what animals did we find in this story. So there were warthogs, there were chimps, there were lions, there were giraffes, and all of these animals are found in Africa, in their natural habitat. And so this would be a great way to introduce Africa and the continent and its beautiful resources to your students. You can also use story time as a way to demonstrate things like bullying. They tried to bully Gerald. Right, they tried to bully Gerald. And he ended up knowing how to dance better than all of them. And so as I was reading, I kind of give these ad libs and talk to my boo cakes as well, so that he can kind of learn these lessons and just be an empathetic human as he's growing up. And this is part of what we do for story time. So you can definitely use these stories to. What's that? You like Giraffes Can't Dance? You like that story? So that's another way you can use story time as well, is to teach lessons of empathy, teach lessons of being an upstander instead of being a bystander, and really making the characters come alive in the messages that they're putting out there. And the last way I think you can incorporate story time in your classroom is as a springboard. It's a springboard for content for you. Don't feel worried if the story seems like it's a little bit juvenile. Little kids and old kids all love story time. Trust me. The animations that you can kind of have when you are telling the story definitely help. But also, these are stories that we don't know who's heard them, who hasn't heard them. In terms of literacy, we don't know what students are really good at reading and which students aren't. And so by you reading for your students, no matter what the age is, you allow them to buy in and invest with you and not feel ashamed and not knowing what they don't know. And so that's this week's episode of Dr. Ann's Desk, where I share tips and tricks on making virtual and remote learning bearable and even fun for all of us involved. I also wanted to give a special plug to the Netflix show that also I will drop in the comments, because it's a great show that has celebrities reading that look like us, and they're reading stories for us and by us, and I think that that's absolutely necessary, and it's amazingly beautiful. So that's my time this week. Lucas is hype, so I gotta go take care of my son, y'all. But I will talk to you all next week, and it was a pleasure. Make sure you subscribed and make sure you're in the comments letting me know if these things are working for you. Talk to you soon. Bye.